You know,
Uh,
you know how it's like when you have like 2 weeks of just absolute crap, and then you're like, you know what? I actually can do things.
yes, I actually know very too well how that feels.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Cheyenne New, and today I'm back with DoBoy. He's everywhere, man. I'm so happy to see you back in comedy. Do you want to tell me like how that went down? What's going
Ye-
on? You're with every,
yes,
you're with the
yes. Well,
bands.
well, first of all, thank you for having me, man. Like I said, last time we spoke, I definitely appreciate your journalistic integrity that you do. I definitely appreciate you. So I always rock with you. So I appreciated you, reaching out and us having a discussion before. And that was, at a very pivotal time in my life. So I wanted to just, start off by saying thank you for that. But no, as far as everything that's been happening this year, it's been a lot of prayer, a lot of water. I think first it started off with getting sober. Update on that. I have stayed sober. I'm celebrating 147 days consecutively of being sober from alcohol today. So that I think was the biggest thing, just kind of like getting that under control. And then I'm just leading back into just having fun. I mean, everything just kind of naturally happened. I ended up starting a podcast with my good friend CT, the Justice League. And he's a dude that I've been, cool with, since like '08, '07. So he was one of the people that was very influential into, convincing me to move to LA, telling me I had a gift. So, that popped off. And, I got the Worst Take podcast with my boys Triune and EQ. And hopped on the Craig Smith podcast, the Craig Smith Facts podcast, just was just showing up and they were like, hey man, come get down. So everything has just been, oh, and I have a new podcast coming the first Friday of June with my good friend Shantae Wayans. And that one's going to be called Menace to Sobriety, where we just, discuss our mental health things, our mission to stay sober from alcohol. She has a very storied battle with sobriety as well. So man, God is just moving in my life, man. I can't say that I'm not very, very happy and just blessed to be in the space. I know I just said a lot, but yeah, I feel
You
great.
know what? You said a lot, but it's great because one of the things I wanted to talk about. So I watched that last podcast with CT.
Uh-huh.
In what world?
Oh, you want to have that conversation because
I
I've been
real quick,
everybody.
real
Let's
quick.
do it. Let's do it.
In what world would you expect a complete adult independent woman to be like 51% sounds good?
See, I
Like
thought you would have. I thought you would have agreed with me on this one.
I
See,
agree if it wasn't so gendered. I think like CT pushed on that. Like there is
uh-huh.
usually someone who's got the majority stakeholder in the
Mhm.
position of the relationship. But
Right.
when you said men,
But
all
see,
men,
okay. This is why I was saying what it is that I was saying. As a black man, it is truly difficult because I feel like our identity is stripped from us in so many places in society and just all around. I just feel like it's a full-time job being a black man, being a black woman as well. But you know what I'm saying? I can identify from, being a black man. I feel like they make men feel bad for being men. I feel like we are supposed to be leaders. Even in the Bible, like we're supposed to be the head of the household. When I said 5149, I wasn't saying it like, yo, whatever I say goes and I'm just a man and bop, 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 bop. No, what I'm saying is I got to listen to things. I got to take everybody into consideration before I make a decision. But at the end of the day, if a decision has to be made, somebody has to have a little bit more power to say, hey, well, this is what we're doing. And I just believe it should be the man. Like I'm not no diss to anybody that thinks it should be something else, but I genuinely feel like the man should be the head of the household. You don't agree with this, I'm assuming.
okay, I'll say it's not, I don't think that gender determines who's the head of the household. Like, I'll compare it to my
Okay.
relationship and my brother's relationship. So, yeah, my brother, he has his own
Okay.
house. And with his girlfriend, of course, like, he feels solid in the fact that he provides, he takes care of the kids, he knows how to do things, he knows about cars and stuff. But he's also not caring about decision making. Like he doesn't care what's for dinner. He doesn't care what they do for the weekend. He
Right.
doesn't care. He goes to work.
Uh-huh.
plays his video games, he take care of the kids. He's not out
It
here.
sounds like a great life. Yes, that
Yeah.
sounds like right.
So I wouldn't say that he's leading the relationship because he's content
Mhm.
with his family. She leads
Right.
because she wants to do more things.
Right. But let me ask you this. Okay. So and maybe you can give me some, maybe you can reflect on your relationship and tell me if this is what happens in your relationship. So what happens if, say, it's a Friday night and you and your partner are about to go out, y'all like, yo, we're gonna go out, we're gonna do this and the third. All right, so let's just say you're like, I'm thinking maybe steak, da. Maybe he's like, nah, I'm thinking a burger. Let's just say y'all go back and forth, because I'm one of those people. I get more indecisive the more hungry I get. I don't know why. It's just a weird thing about my mind. So the more hungry I get, the more I don't know I am about it. So y'all could be going back and forth for whatever seems like forever. Somebody's going to have to at some point make a decision like, all right, this is what we're doing. So that's what I mean by the 51-49. Like the ability to, when important decisions have to be made and everyone's viewpoint has been exhausted, and somebody has to say, okay, I see how everybody feels. This is the decision. That's what I feel the man should be. So what would you do in that instance if you and your dude's out, you guys are about to go eat? What do you do if nobody can just come up to a decision? Who has the power to make it?
So my thing isn't the problem isn't who has the power. My problem was that you tell girls that when you're dating. It's like
Right.
with me and my boyfriend, it naturally I choose because he is
Mhm.
indecisive and I know more about my boyfriend than he does about me. Just because I have a
Okay.
better memory, I remember things better than him. And he has a lot of specifics with the food. So, yeah, I'm more
Mhm.
likely to make the decision. And if I want to torture him, then I'll shut up and wait for him to think. You know, like I am the decision maker between the two of us because if left alone, he's like trying to decide between sesame chicken and like orange for hours.
Right.
Meanwhile, I can dial it 30 minutes ago and let them know that he wants orange chicken.
So what you're basically saying is it's basically not, you're saying yes, you do agree it should be 51-49, but you don't know who needs that 51 or the 49. That's definitely dependent on whatever relationship you're talking about or the situation.
I do agree with how you feel specifically. I don't
Mhm.
know if everyone wants 51-49. Some people want 20, some people want 80, Like I
Right.
personally feel like I'm more like 60-40 because I handle a lot of stuff. But he like,
60-40, like you the dominant.
yeah,
So that is so fascinating to me. So and I'm assuming your dude is cool with that.
yeah. Like how would it
See,
work if
and
he
a lot, I'm telling you, a lot of those comments, because when we put that video up, like the comments exploded. A lot of dudes actually feel that way. They're like, no, I don't know. I guess I'm the alien. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too old school. And the reason why I say that when I'm dating, because I'm me and Tony are in a relationship. We'll be 2 years in September. The reason why I say it in dating though is because I don't want to waste nobody's time. I'm like, this is the kind of person I am. Let me let you know that I'm not one of these progressive type dudes. This is how I am. So that's the reason why I always say it up front, because I feel like if I don't tell you, then you don't know. So that's why I say it in
No,
dating.
they will find out. That's my thing is that you don't need to say some things off the cuff. I'm not going into dates like, all right, if you don't fold laundry the way I like to, you have to get out. Once we move in, I say, I don't like how you do laundry. And so
Uh-huh.
it's like, but even under that circumstance, I then do the laundry. So that's why I have more percentage than him
Right.
because I'm particular about some things. I have to have some things my way, but I'm not going to go off
Mhm.
the bat and be like, so my opinion matters more. It's just like he doesn't care about people.
Right. It's
And yeah,
it's like compromise. And I was talking to my homegirl. I was actually talking to CT's wife yesterday, Tangerine, on my live.
love
And she
her.
was saying that. She was saying like it's really like what happened?
Oh, I love her.
Huh?
She's so funny.
Oh, yes. Oh, Tangerine is one of my favorite people in the world. And she was just basically saying that, you got to just give and take, you got to compromise. So I'm gonna, maybe that ain't got to be the hill that I die on. And maybe I need to kind of reflect and dial it back a little bit. But yeah, I was standing up for the manly man, 51%,
Okay.
51-49. So
But I do think that like obviously men take the pressure of being a man in a different way than each other, you know, like you took the responsibility
Mhm.
that people like society tells you, like you gotta be the man of the house, you get the big piece of chicken. And people love to live like that. My dad lives
Yes.
like that. But some people were like,
Right.
I hate the pressure of being a man. Like
Right.
I don't want to have to be strong all the time. I don't want to have to make decisions. And those
Yeah.
people get people
And
like me.
yeah, exactly. And me and CT actually touched on that episode too. It has a lot to do with how people were raised too, because some men were raised by single mothers who were very, very strong women. So they become attracted to very, very strong women, and they adapt to be able to follow the lead of a strong woman. So I never really thought about it like that. So I guess, I'm learning every day and just I'm trying to evolve. That's my biggest thing. That's 2021 is evolve for me. So
Yeah.
I'm open to listening.
Last point on that, but let's not take everything CT says to heart because that
You
shit's
can
false.
never do
Yeah.
that.
Like I grew up with both my parents. My boyfriend grew up with both his parents. Like
Mhm,
I don't really think that has much to do with it,
mhm.
except that like he knows that men can be annoying because his dad's annoying. So that's it.
Absolutely.
Okay. But
So yeah.
the first thing I actually wanted to talk about, other than that podcast, was you're going on tour. You're doing stand up. If
I
you
am.
had to pick
I am.
3 comedians at their prime to go on tour with, who would you pick?
Oh, 3 comedians in their prime.
In their prime, dead or alive?
Okay.
Bernie Mac is waiting.
In their okay. I would okay. I know who it would be. All right. I would definitely number one say Eddie Murphy. Just because in his prime he was just the illest, like he was like a rock star comedian. He was just super, just a trailblazer. So I would love to have seen just when he was doing Raw or Delirious. So I would definitely say Eddie Murphy. Number two, I would say Chris Rock. Chris Rock is just because, I normally don't like a ton of politics in my comedy. Like I like to keep that separate, but he's one of the few that can kind of weave it in a really smart way. He's one of the smartest comedians. And I feel like, he just, he's just that dude. And then number one, this would have to be the easiest call. My favorite comedian ever of all time. And CT called him out on the podcast, Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx to me is the GOAT. He can do no wrong. He's the dude that inspired me to do comedy. The fact that he can do comedy and music, I've always aspired to be like the hip hop version of Jamie Foxx. So yeah, if I could ever be so lucky to grace the same stage as Jamie Foxx, I would burst into flames every every show because that would just be amazing.
That is so wild. Like I know Jamie Foxx as an actor from his TV
Mhm.
show and movies and stuff. I've never seen him do stand up.
What?
Never.
You've never seen Straight Out the Foxhole or I Might Need Security?
No, I've never heard of
You
these things.
wildin'. I'm gonna say this with the extra strong W. You wildin'. You are wildin'. Do yourself the biggest favor. Do a deep dive this weekend. Go on Amazon Prime or wherever they can have it. Just watch either watch Straight Out the Foxhole or I Might Need Security. Jamie Foxx, he is so masterful on what he does on the stage, even especially when he brings out the piano and starts singing and making it funny. Just Jamie is that dude. You got to watch his stand up.
Yeah.
It's better to me. His stand up is better than everything else that he did. Yes, to me, his stand up is better than everything that he does. He's that good in stand up, and you know how good of an actor he is. But stand
Malcolm
up, huh?
Malcolm X?
No, you first of all, you talk about Ray. So he wasn't in
Wasn't
Malcolm X. He was not in Malcolm X. He was in Muhammad Ali.
Oh, that's so awkward. My age.
You said Malcolm X. That's Denzel Washington. Yo, I'm gonna need you to get it together. He was like, Malcolm X? No, ma'am. That's another black guy that played him. But nah, but he was in Ray. He's one of the dopest actors, but his stand-up, trust me, watch his stand-up and you will be amazed. He's the man.
I mean, I do plan on like I'm starting a new series because I can't keep one series going forever.
Hmm.
And I am going to review like the classic comedy specials that I've
Yes.
seen and the ones that I've missed because I also am doing stand up and I feel like I
Are you? How is that? Talk to me about that.
you know, Charlotte kind of sucks right now. So I've been going to a few open mics and it's a lot of
Uh-huh.
white guys who aren't quite funny. So
Mm,
it's
okay.
that's going. I'm trying out a few jokes, but it's like annoying because it's like when you're talking to a crowd full of people that don't really identify with you,
Hmm.
it feels like, how do I make these people laugh without feeling like they're laughing at me? You know?
Yo, let me tell you, because I'm going through a bit of the same thing. I've just now started getting back on stage. I did a show with Shantae Wayans for her house arrest comedy club that she does. So I did that. That was virtual. So it
Mhm.
wasn't that many people in front of me. So that one I did, that was my first time on stage since 2019. So that show went good. I was like, all right, cool. I was feeling it because I wasn't in front of that many people. Then I did Vegas this past weekend with Craig Smith and the homies. I was a little bit, it was about 40, 50 people in the audience in this little intimate setting. I deal with what you're saying a lot as far as the how can I get these people, to laugh with me and not at me, because I try to, that was something that we talked about last time. Like I'm really big on getting away from the self-deprecating humor because it just doesn't mesh well with my life. And so, but it's like a kill switch that I'll go back to when I'm on stage. So like I'll go on stage, like I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these things. And then as soon as I get on stage, I go back to the comfortability. I was just back up there telling fat jokes. And the messed up part about it is that people don't even, when I was telling fat jokes before, I was 400 pounds.
Mhm.
Now people don't even register that with me because they're looking at me like, because even though I'm still big, they're just like, like, no, you're not even that. So what I would say to you is, this is what I was just actually talking to one of my homies about the other day. What you have to think about when you're going to the stage is that at the end of the day, there's only one Cheyenne. There's only one of you. There's only one person to do exactly what you do, to have gone through the experiences that you've gone through, to live the life that you've gone through. You're the only person that can tell the story. So that's what I had to start telling myself was, forget trying to just fit in with these audiences. Forget trying to get them to, no, no, no. I'm DoBoy. I've been through a lot of crazy shit. Like, so I got to just bring me everywhere that I go and just hope that y'all rock with it. All that, because I do a lot of that, like trying to get accepted when I'm on the stage. I'll ask a lot of questions like, hey, how's everybody doing? Oh man, it's all that really is for me is a lack of confidence in the material and me looking for acceptance for people. So now I just try to be like, forget that. Every time I get on the stage, I'm 100 miles and running just to let y'all know all the crazy shit that I've been through. So that's what I'm trying to do. But it's so terrifying every time
It's
I get on the
so
stage.
terrifying.
It never goes away. I wish I could tell you it goes away. It doesn't.
It's hard. Yeah, it's like not only the weight thing, because I'm pretty big for like my age and size too. It's like the stigma of being a black comedian and a big black comedian. It's like most people my size look like Whoopi Goldberg or something. It's like hard to younger angle.
Right, right.
Like that's why I'm envious of Kamira and Precious
Uh,
because it's like they've lived long enough to be able to make fun of other things than like their bodies.
yes.
I feel like I'm still stuck in Amy Schumer land.
No, and that's why I'm telling you, and it's a very, if I could tell you just from personal experience, it's a very slippery slope with that. So, and what I'm saying is that, I always believed that my weight was a crutch that I had to rely on. So early on in my career, I was just the fat guy, and I kind of leaned on that. And then once I got on Wild 'N Out, I kind of found my identity in being the big dude. And I would always take all the big jokes, and to me it was cool and it was easy and it was fun and it was something that worked. But the messed up part is once I started to lose weight, I was still stuck in that mind state of I need that. I still haven't escaped, and people say that to me every day, like, how do you not know you're funny? Because I've relied on being fat and funny for the past 15 years. So I think that it's nothing wrong with being self-aware and, what I'm saying, poking fun at yourself and being okay with that. But I always caution young comics when you're getting into this, don't let that be your thing, because it will affect you in ways off of that stage that you couldn't imagine. Like it was a point where I started to feel guilty and stupid for losing weight and getting healthy. And no one should ever feel like that. But if you feel like that's your superpower when you're getting on stage, it could kind of warp your mind a little bit. So yeah, just be careful. Yeah, but even when you do get on stage, like I think just make sure that the words that you're saying, you're comfortable with like that being the way that you feel, because your mind will get conditioned into believing to the stuff that you're saying on stage. It doesn't know there's a difference of it. You know what I mean? So you just don't want to, self-deprecate too much.
Yeah, and with like the recent climate and everything, the last thing I want is some other comedian to introduce me and saying like, "All right, here's this fat bitch."
Oh,
The more you talk about it yourself, the more other people are gonna think.
oh, absolutely. They feel like they have a license to kind of joke with you about it, and they don't even know that they can be super offensive at times with that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay, so another thing I really wanted to ask, because
Okay.
I want to be like a TV writer.
Mm-hmm.
When you worked for Wild and Out, like what was that like? Like how long did you guys film for? Do you guys get to like talk to the special guests, the musical guests? Do they just pop up? Stuff like that.
Well, no, how they basically do it, they just basically prep you, as much as they can. It is definitely an improv show, but you get a little bit of an idea of what's going on. So basically what they do is they fly you all, like, they fly the whole cast out to wherever the central location is. So you're all there for that amount of time. So let's just say they're shooting, like when I had first started, they were shooting in New York. So they get everybody there, and then you're just there all in hotels or whatever in New York. And then you like kind of go to the same place every day. So for like 2 weeks, they do what's basically called like workshopping. So you're just basically practicing. They'll get everybody, they'll say, hey, I'm saying, these are the games. This is what we're doing. And you basically just kind of get there and you just practice playing the games. You practice being able to, to work on the fly. And this is where people are like earning their episodes, because the people behind the scenes, like Niall Evans and like, some of the other producers, they're kind of like seeing how well you work with others, you know what I mean? And so it's like you're just getting just practice runs. And so then once they do that for 2 weeks and they've just run it on, so then basically once they're shooting, so you don't really get like a ton of time with the guests like that per se. Like sometimes like basically you'll meet them 10-15 minutes before you're going on stage, so you don't really get a ton of time with them. So basically what they'll do is like the night before the episode goes, they'll be like, okay, this is what it's going to be. These are going to be the teams. These are going to be, what's going on. So you kind of know, if, at the very least the night before, okay, I'm going to be on the episode, da, 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 da. So this is how they do it though. It's 2 episodes that they normally shoot a day. But 1 episode, they could be shooting it just for like an hour and a half, because basically what they're doing is every game and everything that they're doing, they shoot everybody. So you know what I'm saying? There's 6 people on each team and they do, 3 games and then they do the wild style. So basically if it's, that first game, like say it's like Let Me Holler, you got all these people that are going to be able to go out there and tell their joke in front of the people or whatever. And then they just, they pick the funniest stuff in post. So that's just what it is. So you're basically just out there for an hour. You don't get a ton of time with the, with the guests, but usually before, you go on stage, like say maybe 20-30 minutes, they'll be like, hey, this is going to be the person, they're going to be on your team. And so you can kind of talk to them and, get comfortable, with what it is. But so you just basically, you have a general idea of what's going on before you go out there. But then the wild card with Wild and Out, and they tell you that all the time, is once those cameras go on, you never know, you never know what's going to happen. You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to be quick on your feet. That's why they look for the people that are good in improv, because you have to, this is a live thing and, you're just trying to get it off. So I hope I answered that question the best way that I could.
It sounds really fun though. So that does.
Yeah, it's fun and it could be stressful too, but it definitely is fun.
Do you think that roasting is like a genuine form of stand-up comedy? Like just insult?
Do I feel like roasting? Yes, I definitely feel like it's definitely a skill of stand-up comedy, and it's a very dope skill that not everybody has. And another thing that I want to say on, and even to tag on to the last thing that we are talking about with wilding out, I think another good skill about roasting is not only being able to deliver a joke, but to be able to take a joke. And that's another good thing that they teach you at Wildin' Out. Like, everybody can't get the bell, somebody's got to get the buzzer. So I kind of even pride myself on a lot of times being able to take a good joke, because that's just as important. Like, you don't want to be the person that gets hit with a joke, or you're being like, oh, that wasn't that funny, or not laughing. Like, it's almost a skill to, once somebody hits you with a joke, being like, oh, really? Or even saying something funny to tag onto it. I think we did a lot of that at All Def. Like, what I'm saying? Like, we were able to, be able to have a joke go out, and then everybody just kind of, tag on it a little bit. So I think roasting is definitely a key component of stand-up, but in delivering and taking the joke is the skill, I believe.
Yeah, it's hard for me personally to respect most people that roast. Like, the only two comedians at the top of my head I can respect for it is like DL Hughley and CP. Because for me personally, it's like, I grew up around roasting. I'm the middle child of like 8 cousins. Like, I couldn't enter a room without somebody joking on me. I got called it. It's like, the boys, they could wrestle and stuff, but when we're all together, like, words were the fighting. It was
oh yeah, that's how. Yes.
So I don't know.
No, that's how you get your stripes. That's how you get your stripes in there. Like, when I was growing up, me learning how to roast was a way to get me out of getting bullied. You know what I'm saying? Like, I learned that really early. Like, oh, okay, roasting is a thing, and I got to get good off of it to keep these niggas off my ass. So I was, definitely very, like, growing up in the hood, or just going to the barber shops or whatever, you had to be sharp at it. But no, and you definitely did just say two monsters, like, I'm saying, DL and CP, them dudes is both some monsters when it comes to the roast. And Craig Smith is a beast. David Lucas, what I'm saying, Brent Taylor, a lot of these guys. I don't even consider myself a good roaster. I just feel like I know enough about comedy to survive around the monsters, but I wouldn't if somebody was asking me like what I thought my skill set was, roasting wouldn't be one of the things that I would put up. I'll just be like, I know how to survive in the room with the vultures, but that's not one of my one of my weapons that I have.
Yeah, like, I can definitely go back and forth with a group of people, but my problem is, like, one, this is an 8-year-old activity. Like, I did this when I was
and this is for children.
Yeah, and two, like, since I grew up doing it with my family, roasting is like a personal connection to me. So I think I'd be able to take it from some strangers because, like,
you strike me as one of those people if you start roasting too much, you're just gonna start saying serious mean stuff. It's just really start letting people know about this stuff. Like, that's why you repeated the 9th grade 3 times. Like, hey, wait, you weren't supposed to say that.
No. Okay, yeah, I do get vicious, which is why I try not to go down that route. Because it's like, even if I know you.
But see, that's the thing, though. It would be tough for me to roast with you because, like, I have a rule. Like, I won't roast women like that. And even if I do roast women, I only roast things that I know they'll be comfortable with. Because, like you said, like, I know how words can be piercing. So, like, I try to just, like, I try to have rules with roasting. Like, I don't roast people who don't say that they roast. You know what I mean? Like, even like when I'm like on stage, like, I will not hit you in the crowd unless you ask for this. Like, you know what I mean? Because everybody can't take it. Because at the end of the day, you're pointing out people's defects. Like, it's a, you know what I'm saying? Roasting is it's a contact sport. So
yeah, like, I definitely could not do it with a crowd of people. It's gotten to the point that with my friends, they're like, could you stop?
So, listen, I've been in some of those. I've been roasted by some of the greatest of our class, like being on Wildin' Out, getting roasted by a Chico Bean or a DC Young Fly or a Carlos Miller or Emmanuel Hudson, or even all the, the great folks over at All Def. Like, at this point, I just sit back and admire the greatness from it, because it's like some of that shit you can't even rebuttal. It's just some of the stuff you just get hit with, and it just I remember when Emmanuel Hudson said that my birth certificate was written on a Burger King napkin. I just remember just being like, how do you even think of that? Like, it's just ridiculous. So
Yeah, if I don't have a comeback, I'm tackling you. Like,
Well, let's just fight.
just, let's just do it. Okay.
Let's
Where I hurt
trade
my
hands.
feelings, it's going down.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. But speaking of other people, have you heard about like Lil Uzi Vert and was it JT, like from the City Girls?
Yeah, so they're a couple or something, or they
Yeah.
were, or back and forth, or something to that effect.
So like a little backstory, like the City Girls, a lot of their songs are written by Lil Uzi Vert. And
Didn't know that.
so yeah, and then they started dating as pretty much like artist and producer. And well, I was gonna ask you a couple of questions about that, but I don't know how involved you are.
Well, hey, I'm always down. I mean, I think I know enough about, the hip hop landscape to answer the question. So go ahead, shoot, I'm with it. Go ahead.
How do you feel about couples getting tattoos of each other's initials? Is that next level engagement?
Now,
Or
I'm an extreme person, and I've been going back and forth on if I want to tattoo Tony on me. I don't know, man. I just feel like it's one of those things. Wait, did you just have the long, slow bleak? I caught the long, slow bleak. So listen,
because
we'll get back to
it on your neck.
I'm a very extreme person. Like, I can't do anything halfway. So what I would say is this. Yes, I do agree with it, because this is what I feel. I feel like if you love someone and you feel that strongly about it, then do it. Because I feel like too many times in love, we give ourselves the out if it don't work. Think about it. People put up a bunch of pictures of they boo on Instagram, and then when the shit's over, they just go back and delete like it never happened. Like none of us seen this. Like, oh, you just erased history. It never happened. You can't erase that off of your flesh. So I would say only do it if you know for sure that you're going to do it. But absolutely, I'm the type of nigga to tattoo a woman on me. I'm surprised I don't have 15 women on me at this point in my life, but I do think that yeah, if you're into it, you should do it. What about you? How do you feel?
I mean, I am. So, how do I say this? I definitely have an uncle who has done this, and they've been
Okay.
together all my life. So it's not like I think that it's a surefire sign of failure, And like my mom has me and my brother's names tattooed on her arm. So it's not like I'm a stranger to people getting tattoos of other people's names. But no, I don't think it's a great idea.
So you wouldn't get your boo tattooed on you?
Absolutely not.
Why not? You love him. You got 60% of the relationship.
No, he can get something. He can get my name tattooed on him if he really wants to, I guess.
So you would let him get you tattooed, but you ain't finna give that same level of commitment.
Now, don't call me Blueface, but yes. It's just,
yo, that's messed up, man. Get that man tatted, man. We want him tatted. Listen,
I don't want him tatted either.
I'm team him. Tat that man. Tat something about him. His favorite team, something. His favorite. You said he likes sesame chicken, orange chicken, whatever. Tattoo something that represents him to show the love.
He's my security question, so I think I show him enough love.
That's a real level in a relationship if somebody's your security question.
Yeah, it's like, what's his favorite color? And I'm like,
boom.
No, I mean, if I were to get something tattooed, it would probably be like his glasses or something.
His glasses?
Yeah, because I can pull it off. I can say that they were my first pair of glasses or something.
See, that's the same thing that you're doing. That's that Instagram shit. You're giving yourself an out. No,
absolutely.
You got to put his initials, something that is exclusively he.
You want me to be closed in a tunnel?
Come on, man. Out. You got to. I'm telling you. You got to be all in. You got to have that level of commitment. You got to.
Well, I guess Lil Uzi does, because he did get that giant stone in his forehead, and he seems to be.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on. What is it here? He got a diamond tattoo. He got it like implanted in his face. Yeah. Why though? But why?
It's so much, but it's like the more I think about him, the more I'm reminded of Lil Wayne, because it's like.
But a diamond getting what? That just takes flossing to an entirely different. I'm going to genetically alter my body to flaunt wealth. That's what that's
Well, when you
ridiculous.
the same,
That makes no sense.
think about it. When
Like, give me.
Lil started doing the whole rock music, skinny jean guitar, emo
Mhm.
stuff, everyone was kind of like, this is weird, but I'm gonna vibe. And I
They
feel
did.
like that's what Uzi Vert's doing.
Well, if this is a trend as things are coming, niggas gonna start changing their body to get diamonds implanted in their face. These young, I'm telling you, don't it make you feel old when you see people do stuff like that? Because we would never. I know we're not even the same age, but do you think that makes sense at all? Are you impressed by the diamond in his face?
No, I don't even think people should get tattoos. Why would I?
So
I
I don't know. That just feels like some really young shit. Like, yeah, diamonds in the face, sew it in my face. Like, what?
Okay,
It's
but if
just
I also had $7 million, I don't know where I'm putting diamonds. Am I putting it on my coochie? Am I putting it on my
no. You're not putting diamonds in your coochie, Cheyenne.
if
No.
if I
What?
can't get a Birkin bag, maybe I need a bejeweled vagina.
No, you don't. Why do niggas have to always be so just fascinated with diamonds? No, don't you ruin the box with the no. Your man's not gonna like that. He's not gonna come home like, oh, diamonds down here.
He'll think
No.
about it all day while he's at work. He'll be like, "Oh my God, can't wait to go to the altar today."
So you really so you really out here finna have the bling bling box. Okay, you let me know.
No,
You let me know how that works.
I'm afraid of pain. I'm not doing it. Oh my God. But we did talk about MTV earlier. And
Mhm.
the whole situation with Leslie, Precious, the joke steal.
Yes.
How do how do I say this? Not in a disrespectful way,
Mhm.
but how do comedians get booked when they have to have jokes written for them?
Well, you say like, how do they get? Well, see, that's the thing. So it's not foreign for some of the biggest comedians that you know to have jokes written for them for award show and things like that. You got to think about it like this. Professional comedians, they're writing jokes to go on the road and to, that's how they feed their family. So it's not foreign for if they do like an award show or, a ceremony for them to get jokes written from people with this situation. And like I'm really really close with Precious, like it's really really a good friend of mine, like I'm saying we work on a lot of stuff. I understand her frustration in that situation because it's like you work so hard, and she's Precious has been doing that joke for years. You work so hard just to have your own personal voice in this shit. Like, you know what I mean? And she's put money up for that to get it trademarked to sell merchandise. So you have to understand that when a bigger comedian, like a Leslie says that joke and she says it on MTV, now you got to think of the position that you're putting the person whose joke that is in, because now if she goes out and tries to say that joke after that, anybody that watches MTV could say, "Oh, you took that from Leslie." So just think about how frustrating that might have to be to write. So you know this because you're a comedian in the game. You're writing jokes. Just think about how frustrating that would be for you to finally get a joke that is a banger. It's your closer. It's what people know you for. And then a bigger comedian comes and takes that joke and says it on TV, then if you say it publicly, people not only aren't going to laugh, they're going to look at you like you're a thief. So
Yeah.
I just think that situation, and I talked to Precious, and I'm glad that she stood up for herself because it's a lot of politics and stuff in this comedy game. You know what I mean? And it's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself. Now I don't know Leslie, so I don't, I'm not here to speak disrespectfully about her or anything, like, what I'm saying. But what I do know is that I know Precious and that I've seen Precious do that joke for years. And I know that Precious has a big enough voice and has a big enough platform in this game that comedians know that that's her joke. So I don't really, it doesn't fly to me for somebody to be like, oh, I didn't know. Like, come on, like this comedy game, we're all dialed in and we all know each other. Like, no. So, that situation was, it's difficult because, people stealing people's jokes has been happening for years.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes you got to stand up for yourself. So I just I stand with Precious in that situation because I get it. And not only that, I've seen Precious get blackballed in other situations. Like I've seen people try to blackball her, a black woman, in this game. So I'm like, nah, bro, like at some point, some of us got to step up in this shit and just I don't take sides in this shit. I just call out what I feel is right and what is wrong. You know what I mean? And that shit wasn't cool. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that she spoke on it. I'm glad that it got the response that it did. And hopefully moving forward, people know like, hey, shit, I ain't finna, touch no Precious jokes. So, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, my thing about the whole situation is still like, I guess I'm thinking, why not just hire the writers to do the show? Why not have Tahir and Tony do it together? Why hire someone who doesn't have material? Like, because I'm
Mhm.
thinking, if I'm Precious and I saw Leslie do that, not only am I mad that she has my joke, I'm mad that they took someone who didn't have the shit ready. Like, she's been doing this for
Right.
20 years and she still needs writers? Like,
No, I mean you're absolutely right. I mean, and the amount of money that people get paid, to do those type of gigs, you would think like, hey, you should absolutely be writing, your jokes to go up there for 10 minutes, especially when you've demonstrated the ability that you can. And a lot of times for you to be able to get in the position to be on that stage to tell the jokes, you had to demonstrate that you could write jokes, what I'm saying, to get there. So no, you're absolutely right in that. And it's, you know, and like that whole situation was just so dicey, because I know all the people involved. Like, what I'm saying? I know Tony, like I'm saying, I know Tahir, like, what I'm saying? I'm never here to say you dudes did this because they're stand-up dudes. Like, I'm saying? I've been around them and I don't know them to be joke thieves. So I would never want anything that I say to make people think that I'm saying that they did no stuff like that. But at the same time, I can call out what's right is right. I can say, hey, anybody that was in that room, if before Leslie went on that stage, I don't like, and from what I understand, there was a bunch of people in that room. I'm like, out of all the people that you telling me in that room, if she was going on that stage to say that joke, and she said that in that room, that I'm going to go out on this stage and say this joke, you cannot in good faith tell me that nobody in that room did not know that that was Precious's joke. I just do not buy that. I don't. So if that's what people are saying, yes, like she went out there to tell the joke, and these were the people, and I'm not just singling out those two. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to be very careful when I say stuff like this. I'm not singling out those guys. I'm just saying whoever was in that room, if it was those two plus her plus whoever else, somebody in that room knew that that was Precious's joke, and nobody can look me in the face and say, no, nobody knew that Precious used to say this joke. Like, I just don't
yeah.
believe that. Like, nah.
I mean, from that angle, it's like, I feel like two ways about it because
Mhm.
one, we know, well, not we, but for those that follow the Keep Your Distance comedy show,
Mhm.
Leslie was there the same night of
Come
Precious.
on,
So
man.
it's like she
Listen,
said that she never met, but it's
and
like, girl, you were there.
you
You
were there, like,
Precious
and
gave you a compliment and you ignored her.
exactly, and that's the thing that it's like it's some of that, and this is another reason why I understand Precious's frustration. I work with Precious a lot. Like me and Precious have spent countless hours, and I'm not talking about a long time ago. I'm talking about as recently as 2-3 days ago. We have spent countless hours in the living room just working on content. Like, what I'm saying? She helps me with stuff. I help her with like just working. She takes her craft so seriously. So when you take it seriously like that, and then somebody plays with you and goes and says a joke that, what I'm saying, on that big of a platform, like, no, 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 no. And it's, what I'm saying? And I can't just sit around because I see and witness a lot of BS politics in this game. More so, I seen more so of crazy stuff last year than in any point in my life. I'm like, no, like at the end of the day, what's right is right. And at the end of the day, we need to, as a community of comedians, be policing that shit because there's no space for it. And I'm not saying she stole the joke. I'm just saying that I know the joke was Precious's joke.
Yeah.
So you'd stop sitting up there acting like you don't know this woman, like you ain't her. Like, stop that. Like, that is almost insulting. Like, could you imagine if someone took one of your bangers and then was just genuinely acting like, oh, I don't know, I could have easily thought about that. Like, stop it. Like, come on now. Like, nah, don't
Yeah.
do that.
It was super.
The real dicey thing, man. But shout out to Precious, man. I think that she handled it the best way that she could. And I'm glad that, it was a situation that got addressed by it was something that got brought up. It got addressed. people moved on. So hopefully I hope that everybody learned something from it moving on. So there's no repeat, situations like that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, it's like, okay, so obviously I'm a Black woman and I want to be a comedian. From my experience, Black men are the ones who find me least funny. So, like,
Really?
yes, like everyone will laugh at my joke before a Black man does. And so when I go to Black clubs, it's like very awkward. Do you have
Mhm.
any like advice for women just starting out? Because we have like a whole other set of problems than white women.
Absolutely. I actually have a different theory, what I've always thought about with women comedians that I'll share, with you. I always thought that it was hard for women to find other women funny. And what I mean is, like, sometimes, a lot of times, like with women can just kind of just be, from at least from my experience and what I've seen, they could just, like, with other women, they could just be very, it takes a minute for them to settle in. It's almost like women are more comfortable with men in that sense, to where, so, like, I've seen women go on stage and, like, the women in the audience are kind of just judging her and just kind of looking at her. It's just, she's trying to connect. And then men are so connected to the women. So if a man is with his woman and he's like looking at her and she's not really, feeling or vibing with the energy, then he may in turn be like, oh yeah, 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 it ain't funny at all, because niggas are just such, they don't ever want to make their lady, So I would say, if I had any personal advice, I would say get out and connect with the women first. Like, I know that it sounds backwards, but I feel like if you come out and you get the women, the guys are going to go with whatever the women say. So then, and sometimes what you have to do as a comedian as well is point out the obvious. So if you come out to a room and it's a bunch of, Black men, and that Black men don't normally rock, sometimes it's kind of cool to break the third wall and just, hey, like, what's up, ladies? Look, Black men don't find me funny, so I'm gonna talk to y'all. Hey, but, like, just kind of, and then that becomes the thing, like, oh man, no, we're gonna give you a chat. Like, so then maybe if you can kind of turn it over on its head a little bit, like, I know you guys aren't gonna rock with, da 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 da, but I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm still gonna give you the Cheyenne show that you were going to get either way. So that's what I would.
Okay. In that way, I wrote down a couple of jokes.
Mhm.
And as an, I would say, are you middle-aged? I don't know what middle-aged is anymore.
I'm 41. I've been leaning into just being honest about my age lately, because I've had a history of always playfully lying about it. I'm 41, so whatever that makes me, middle age or whatever, that's the age. I'm 41.
I don't know. Well, as someone who's a bit older than me, I would like your advice. So I have 4 sections of jokes that I'm working on. Would you rather hear me talk about my parents and how shitty they were, and that's how it made me a funny person, dating and my experience of having friends with sugar babies, my experience being Black growing up in a Florida trailer park, or basically how society sucks and wants to kill your soul with a bunch of work?
Oh no, the third one. The third one was the most unique. Being Black and growing up in a trailer park, that might be your television show. You should let me write the pilot for that. That's a very unique point of view. I've never heard that story. I've never heard the Black perspective from a trailer park.
Bro.
That I would just want to, and maybe that makes me I don't know, maybe that makes me trash for only identifying with white people in trailer parks, because that's the only people I ever heard talk about living in a trailer park.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like that makes me a racist for that, but I've never heard that experience. So I would want to know, how long did you live in the trailer park?
Most of my life when I was in Florida, so I'd say at least like 7-8 years.
That is your lane. I would come out on stage like, yes, I'm a Black woman and I grew up in a trailer park. Boom, and just stop and just look at them and just give it a second to breathe. Okay. That is where you should go. And I have found you're gonna find your most riveting content in the truth. I have a saying that I've been saying a lot lately, that God to put your biggest blessings in the places that you're most afraid to go. Go to those dark places. Like, I'm even writing a bit now about being bipolar. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I said, I'm not just gonna get up here and tell a bunch of surfacey fat jokes. I'm gonna talk about my life. So that is the story that I would want to hear as a consumer. And that's coming from me, DoBoy, not only a person that's a comedian, but a nigga that's a writer, that's a nigga that can look at stuff on how to put together on a big scale. And I'm like, that's the story. I would love to see your pilot of that, almost in the style of Everybody Hates Chris, to where he was narrating what was happening in his childhood. You
Oh
doing
God.
that, if you did that in a trailer park setting, that would be, I would love to see that, because I've never seen it. Like, so
Yeah.
I think if you can start to be like the first person to, because I've never heard a Black person in general talk about that. You're the first Black woman to talk about your experience in that. You could body that lane. You could have merch, like, because this is what I will tell you about that too. Even though you're the first person, the first Black person that I've heard about talking, I've heard talking about living in a trailer home, a trailer park. I guarantee you're not the only Black person that grew up in a trailer park, and I guarantee there's a millions of people who have stories, and when they hear you talk about it, gonna be like, oh shit, that's what I'm. So I would, and you get the benefit too of relating to the white audience who probably already knows, so they're gonna be looking at you like, oh yeah, we did used to always see a token Black kid you were them, like. So I would tell that. I want to hear that story. Matter of fact, when you start telling that story, I want to see that set. Like, send me that set when you, because I just genuinely hear the crazy shit that you went through in the trailer park.
Thank you. I mean,
For
I
sure.
already have one, because it's like when I did visit my cousins, they lived in Orlando. So it was obviously like the city, the hood part. And when we visited it, they'd be like, oh my God, you talk white. And that was like the biggest insult. Because I was
Right.
like, these crackers, I speak like them. Please. Please.
Yo, you gotta tell that story. I just think I think that'll separate you instantly. I think that people will rock with that. So yes, please do
All
that.
right.
Side note, totally unrelated. I know you didn't ask about this at all, but guess what I did the other day?
Make chicken?
No, I don't be cooking like that. No,
Oh.
but I wrote a movie.
Oh.
I wrote a whole movie, and it was just, and the reason why I'm telling you that is just because I really feel like as creators, we cannot put handcuffs on our creativity or limitations on ourselves. And I had always been wanting to write a movie, and I read a book called The War of Art. If you haven't read it, I would definitely suggest it. And it was just basically talking about how how you have to harness your creativity and make it into tangible work that you can, use. And so like I really just forced myself to sit down and read the books and learn the beats of a movie. And once I did that, I literally did it. Now, who knows? Like, now, whether it gets made or whatever else, it doesn't matter to me. Now I can call myself a movie writer because I did it. So I'm just letting you know, just whatever things that you creatively want to do that you think that you can't, do that shit because you can.
Yeah. You're honestly like, this is so cheesy, but so inspiring to me.
Thank you.
Because it's like, I'm still working on my first episode of a TV show I want to write, and I just can't finish it. So, like, even just finish a movie is so many pages.
Yo, when I finished, it was 96 pages. I was aiming for 110.
Yeah.
But no, it's just really just about this is what I can definitely say to you. This is another thing that I've learned, and I can actually touch on this with you as well, because we talked about this months ago. And let me tell you an update on it. So, I'm bipolar. We've talked about this, right? So what I learned is that last year I suffered a lot. It was a lot of things going on, a lot of things changing. It was a scary diagnosis. It was a relapse of alcohol. So, what I'm saying? Like, I was just really, really scared. But it was one of the most difficult years of my life, because one of the main things I did was stop creating. I just stopped. And even the stuff I was creating, it didn't feel genuinely me. So I just last year was just really hard. Like, it was times where I just felt like I didn't want to live. Like, I was suicidal. I was just like, I don't like this. The one thing that I can say that is very different about this year versus last year, I simply got back to work. So actually my work and my creativity is low key my medicine. Cause I still, to this day, I don't take the medicine. I don't, I still to this day, I don't do that. Not that I feel there's anything wrong with it or right with it. It's just, it doesn't jive well with me. And so I'm like, in my quest to keep my mental health in check and to keep my sobriety in check, I create. So a lot of times, because I still have those moments, I still have those manic episodes that I feel coming on, but what I'm able to do is put it to the work. So whenever like I'm up late at night and I'm just like, what, I'm working. And so now I can use that as one of the biggest, allies, in my fight. I don't want to call it a fight, but with my life, with with being bipolar, just staying to work and staying creative keeps me sharp. So
Yeah. So like when you were
and I
writing
think
the
it's
movie, what was your like daily
mhm.
schedule like? Like, do you write in the morning, at night, throughout the day?
I'm so OD, and I don't know if this is good advice or whatever, but let me tell you, this is really, really the truth. I'm so OD that I'm gonna just tell you, honest to God truth, hand to the Bible, word to my grandmother, rest in peace. This is the truth. I just basically took 3 complete days and said, I'm not doing anything these days. And so I woke up literally, I said, okay, because basically, the people that had, commissioned me to write the movie, they had a bunch of notes and stuff. So they had like they had notes, and then they had like brainstorm sessions where they were just talking about characters and ideas, da, da, da. So I listened to all of the stuff that they said. And so I was like, okay, so this was in for one whole day. I just created the characters and the world. And I was just like, okay. And then all of the beats, so I just did that for one day, but it was like intense. It was like from 7 a.m. to like 5 a.m. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but just the entire day, I just smacked the whole day and said, this is all I'm doing. And I did that 3 separate days. And on the third day, I was done. So I know other people are different, and they could probably say, hey, if and I'm trying to get to the point where I just write 4 hours every day, no matter what. So I'm trying to, because I've learned that consistency is better than intensity. So that was me being intense for those 3 days. And it worked because I wrote it. But what would work better for me is just to say, I wrote for 4 hours or I wrote an hour every day, but I don't do anything in balance. I think that's
Oh,
part of my mental illness kicking. So I did it in 3 days, but now I'm trying to get to the point where I write 4 hours a day every day, no matter what.
oh my God. Yeah. No. All my
I
people
know I'm a different type of nigga. I know, right? Huh?
everyone's been telling me it takes a year to write your first
No,
movie, and you did it in
it does
three
not. Did it in
days.
3 days. But you just got to commit to it. I'm telling you, you just have to commit to it. And like, and I say 3 days, but I think that how like as a writer, you're always working. You're always putting it together in your head. So yeah, I'm saying 3 days, but it was really more like a month of thinking about it before I did it, and kind of toying around with the idea, like, okay, what's the opening image? What's an inciting incident? Like, what is fun in games? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm a save the cat baby. So it's like, going through those things. But once you really dial it in and just sit down, because the hardest thing of writing a movie is the outline and creating a story and characters that makes sense. Like the funny stuff is easy. So writing funny words to say in funny situations, that's not hard. But writing a real story that people can follow and creating characters that people care about, that's the work. So that's what takes the bulk of the time. You can always just fill in the funny stuff later.
You have a talent that I do not possess because the outline is the easiest part for me. The
Really?
words and typing is the worst part. I can
See, that's
tell
what
a movie before I can write it down.
See, that's why we would need to be a great writing duo. That's what I'm starting to learn about stuff. Sometimes you have to lean into your strengths. Like if your strength is a outline, I struggle with outline. I'm like, what? Why does this? Because the worst thing that you want to do is get to page 48 and realize your whole plot doesn't make sense because you didn't think it through in the outline. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like and it's messed up too with trying to be a writer and trying to be a black writer, because black audiences are tough to make laugh. Like they want it now, but this story still has to make sense. I could say 90 minutes worth of funny shit all day, but if it don't come together in a story that makes sense, I just wasted everybody's time.
All right. So, oh my God, it was great having you back. Thank you for
Yes.
giving me some of your time. And
Mhm.
thanks for the insight for the comedy. For all aspiring comedians out there, know that even though everyone thinks that you're not going to be shit, you can make people laugh. So
Absolutely.
have fun.
Have fun, do the things that you love, drink water. And yes, you can do anything that you want to do. And thank you for having me on your platform. I always appreciate, the love and, the respect. And yes, and I'm not just, this ain't just Hollywood talk that I'm giving you over this phone. If I'm saying I'll be your mentor and you serious about learning, let's get to work. Cause I love the work, and the work is what keeps me balanced. So I'm around, man. I appreciate what you're doing out here.
That would be awesome. And for those of you who are local here in the Carolinas, you can catch DoBoy at Greenville, South Carolina this summer with Chante.
Oh, you're in South Carolina.
I'm in North Carolina.
Okay, how far are you from where I'm gonna be?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought when you said Carolina, okay, I was like, oh, you might have to come through, do a guest set or something. So,
I just put
okay,
them together, but I know it's at the Comedy Zone, and my friend
right.
works for the Comedy Zone.
Yes, and I will be on the road a lot. I'm trying to get ready for my special that I will be shooting at the top of next year called "DoBoy, You're Not a Comedian, You're a Joke." That was the meanest thing a woman ever said to me, and I named my special after it. So, yeah. I'm gonna tell one crazy story because it's been one hell of a ride.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
For sure. Well, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to big things from you too. Keep doing your thing. Thank you guys all for tuning in and listening. I have been DoBoy.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Peace.